and welcome to Who Dares Wells Mumbo Jumbo. This is just kind of edging us into the new year. I'm filming this before the new year. When it comes out, who fucking knows? This is kind of part of a couple of videos that are going to be kind of a year-end roundup of stuff, kind of going into A, the channel and stuff, what we've done, and B, what I want to do is a subsequent video to this, which I'm hoping to get some on-filmed interviews or stuff for some of the other guys from the Friday and the Sunday groups as to our favourite games we've played in the last year. And I'm not limited that down to new stuff. I'm just going to be like, what's the favourite stuff you've played of what we've played? So hopefully I can get that done. And we'll see. Ben's agreed to do it, so that's cool. He's going to come out and do that, I think. And I'm sure I can tell some of the Sunday crowd into it. Anyway, that's all that out of the way. So we're not going to do my normal played, although some stuff has been played. I'm going to hold that off a bit later because we haven't played a lot. I don't think since last time. We've played a few things, but mainly a scattering of stuff. But let's not get into that. We're going more to go into sort of Christmas. How was Christmas and all that stuff. How was Christmas, by the way? Everyone all right? Having a good Christmas? Well, as we're talking Christmas, let's go through what delights I had for Christmas. So, not a lot, and I didn't have much on the list. However, I'm just digging through this at the moment, is I did get Robodoc, which is the creation of Robocop. This is like a 5-hour odd plus documentary on the making of Paul Verhoeven's 1984. I don't know when it came out now. Shit. Oh, who cares? Whatever. In the 80s, Robocop. A cracking movie. In fact, it's a fabulous movie. I love Robocop with all my heart. I remember going to see it, but before I was old enough to be going to see it, it was that wonderful summer. It might have been 88, because I think we had Robocop, Predator, I think even Die Hard. It's a bunch of absolutely banging classics coming to the cinema. I remember sneaking into the cinema to see this, watching it and going, fuck me, that's amazing. And then going home and then grabbing my dad and going, we're going to the cinema. Going straight back to watch Robocop. If you've never seen Robocop, what the fuck are you doing watching this? What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't watch the remake. Really solid movie. I love it. It's lean. It cracks along. It's incredibly violent, which I loved Verhoeven when he was at the height of his Hollywood stage, where we had that Starship Troopers. I mean, those two alone are just fucking classics. I do love his sci-fi output. The Total Recall as well. But yeah, Robocop, by far his crowning glory, one of my most favourite movies. That's a deep dive into it, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm only halfway through. There's 2 discs and it's 4 parts in the entire documentary in Load of Under Fluff. On the whole, I mean, I like Jaws. It's a movie that I've watched and seen many, many times, and I've read and absorbed kind of a lot of stuff about it. So I didn't, it's going in, expect that many surprises. And there isn't huge amounts, but there is some interesting nuggets of information and stuff. We know it was a troubled shoot, with all the problems over the stuff, and if you know that, it's a great entertaining thing, and all the shit going on in the Hollywood movie, especially a low budget one like this was. But the innovation that's shown in the special effects and sound effects and, Oscar winning stuff, the digital effects and all that, but they didn't have digital effects. I mean, all of that, the handcrafted feel and how it looks, still stands up now. Fucking great. Hollywood, take note. There is a movie called Robocop that's got a fucking tight script, wonderful cast, plows along, doesn't waste a moment, highly entertaining. Why aren't you doing that anymore? What is the fuck is going on? Anyway, I love Robocop. If you've never seen it, I will allow you to stay, though I am disappointed with you. Go and see it. Go and watch it. Go and buy it. You'll watch it many, many times. If you're a Judge Dredd fan, I'm sure you've seen it. And it does actually touch upon the Judge Dreddiness of it all in the documentary, which is quite nice, because normally they've kind of avoided that, but they actually do touch upon it. Other than that, I have got Barbenheimer to dig through, neither of which. So I've never watched either of these movies. I did want to go and see them at the cinema. There was a lot going on. Never got a chance to do it. Put them on the list. So whether I do the whole Barbenheimer thing, not sure. Nolan doing Oppenheimer, nuclear explosions, overwrought, deranged sex scenes by all accounts. Interesting to see how that pans out. I mean, it's Nolan. He's always worth a watch. Huge movie over the summer. And Barbie. What can I say about Barbie? I mean, fantastic. Greta Gerwig, supposed to be hugely amusing, and does a lot and says a lot about patriarchy and all that sort of stuff. So those are all very lefty for me. There we go. But there's both of those two. They sound cool. When I'm going to get around to watching them, I don't know. I know her indoors will be clearly up for Barbie. I'm not entirely convinced that she's going to be all that enthralled with Oppenheimer. Getting into a bit more gamey related stuff. I didn't really know what I wanted to ask for much or anything, but I had put a few bits of RPG stuff on there for reasons best known to myself, because I'm trying to avoid board games. I don't need any more board games, so I didn't really tend to put many on there. So I did this. So I got Heart of Darkness, which is the Alien supplement, the third of the trilogy of Alien supplements by Andrew Gasker. These are sort of pre-built cinematic scenarios, all ready to go out of the box. Some really great contents and stuff. I mean, Free League, for their aesthetic and design and production and all that, is fantastic, and this is no slouch in that department. I've yet to play any of the Alien RPG, and I will now have all the currently published scenarios. There is a couple more source books out, which I might have to pick up just because I love the Alien universe. I mean, I always love reading an RPG, a decent one, and looking at it, and it does sound cool and it does sound fun. So I do want to run a game at some point. It will probably be with the Sunday crowd, because Friday crowd not that well engaged in that. But yeah, Alien, Heart of Darkness, we'll see whenever I get around to playing that. But it's something I want to dive into at some point. And then, doubling down on that, was also the Blade Runner role-playing set by Free League. This is the starter set, and it's got some really nice stuff. I mean, there again, as I've said, there are, and the designs and all that is really cool. I like that they do these starter sets, and there's one of these for the Alien one, which I've got over there, as well as the main book. But they all come with a bunch of stuff just to get you rolling and playing. Some nice dice, cards, lots of other stuff. I'll skim through this really quickly. A nice envelope full of goodies, which is always nice. It's really, the quality of production of all this stuff is just gorgeous, and the art is nice, and they're really light, easy to read kind of rules. Really, there's not a lot to them. If you actually look, it's all art, very art and design, but actually when you come down to a lot of this, there's not a lot to be doing. So that comes with the rules, cut down rules. You can buy a big book of all the rules, but there's a cut down version which works with this. What you get in here, you've got an actual first scenario to play. Can't see that, spoilers. A bunch of handouts, loads of handouts, really nicely produced handouts and floor plans. This is kind of cool, which is an entire big map of Los Angeles, of Blade Runner. Oh, there I am, I'm behind this. But there we go, I love all this shit. I mean, again, Blade Runner is something that I adore. It's a great, and I do very much enjoy Denis Villeneuve's sequel. Being brilliant. Oh, there's the boy. I was just telling the people on the thing it's okay. Have you played any games this year you've enjoyed?
Yeah.
What was the game?
Well,
You can tell.
Lego.
Lego. What? Lego the toys or?
No, Lego's Fortnite.
Lego Fortnite. Yeah, me and Isaac have been playing Lego Fortnite. We need to play that today, don't we?
Yeah.
And what did you get for Christmas? You got a headset, so me and you can play Lego Fortnite and talk to each other.
Yeah.
We need to play more board games.
Yeah.
We do, don't we, really? What would you like? Which maybe later on? Don't see that?
I don't know what that even means.
Okay.
I got fired!
Okay. Should we go and get the stick for Mummy? Do you want to say Happy New Year to everybody?
Happy New Year!
This is Isaac. Have you not met Isaac? He's always my mate. You're my mate, aren't you? Oh, squidgy thing. I can squid you all day. Right, you've thrown me off my game. I don't know what I'm doing. I was talking to the people, and then you've come in and disrupted me. This happens. All right, should we go and sort Mummy out?
Yeah.
All right. Right. Watch that space. We'll be back in a minute. Right. That's all that. I'm off my game now. Other than that, coffee. I got a couple of books I did ask for. I got Ad Nauseum, which is a collection of 70s and 80s press clippings of advertising during those years of horror movies. So all a lot of exploitation fare. A lot of these, I remember stuff like this as a kid growing up in the newspapers, and I remember, scrolling over this stuff. and enjoying it. So what we've got here, a bunch of that sort of stuff, all the classics in there, some footnotes and bits of some actual anecdotes in relation to them, and all that sort of stuff in cool kind of black and white gaudiness. Thing we don't get anymore, really. I don't think these run, but at the time, 70s and 80s especially, as I was growing up, I used to love flicking through and finding this shit in a newspaper. So that's kind of cool. And then another one I've got, which I asked for, was Dice Man. 2008's Dice Man. This was, if you don't know, it was a very short-lived, I think there was about 5 issues of it. Coming from Pat Mills, was the main writer behind it. The idea was, at the height of fighting fantasy and the gameplay books, 2000 AD decided to get in on the action, and they put out 5 issues of Dice Man, which was a comic book, quite expensive, I think, at the time, for that time. I mean, it was like £1 or something. But in it had about 3 or 4 stories, all comic stripped, but they were actually a fighting fantasy style game, in that you made decisions and went to different pages and different panels, rolled dice, and went on adventures. Some of which had Nemesis had a few games in here. Dread had 1, I think. There was Slane got a few, or Slani, I don't know how you pronounce that. I always used to call him Slane. Rogue Trooper, and a bunch of other characters, as well as Dice Man, which was Pat Mills' creation, which is kind of like a James Bond cross with Indiana Jones style character. Bit H.P. Lovecraft thrown in there doing stuff. It's cool. I mean, this is as big as the original comics. I remember them being bigger, so it is a bit smaller. But in here is all of those issues in here. They've actually rearranged the order, so they've put them in character order, and they've also thrown in the Tomb of Terror, which was collected originally over 4 or 5 issues in 2000 AD, which was like kind of its early version of this. But we get a lot of artists in there. We got Brian Talbot. Really good artists. We got, what else is there? I think Steve Dillon does some art in here. Kevin O'Neill, bless him, does some fantastic. I love Kevin O'Neill's art, amazing. Who else is in here? I think there's a bunch of pretty cool art. Anyway, Rogue Trooper, all sorts of stuff. But yeah, Judge Dredd, Steve Dillon, bang, classics. I really enjoyed having this, and there's also a weird bloody Ronald Reagan thing. You can play as Ronald Reagan at the very end. Betty Ewins up. I think it is. I think it was Betty. It wasn't Betty. Who was the name of the artist who used to do that? Hunt Emerson. That's the fucking name. You will be Ronald Reagan by art by Hunt Emerson, who's kind of a typical artist. Only every time his stuff crossed into this. Pat Mills is obviously a bit of a lefty-leaning politics. So yeah, cool. Anyway, Dice Man. I really enjoyed Dice Man. I do have the original copies of it. In fact, I think over there somewhere, I think is the Ronald Reagan issue. Up in the loft, I think is the rest. So I did have these, but to have them collected in a volume such as this from Rebellion, and with the Tomb of Terror chucked in there, that's one I quite liked. I can't help a bit of that sort of stuff. So that's kind of game adjacent, isn't it? Go me for doing that. Excellent. Right, I know the dog's in the garden, so I'm waiting for him now to start barking. That'll be just the next thing. Other than that, a quick skim through the year. Who Dares Roll's year. A year that saw more prime ministers, actually, than I think episodes I put out in the last year. There's been quite a political turmoil. Good God help us all. Right, anyway, here we go. So February, it was my birthday, and some birthday stuff happened. We played Frostpunk, a game we've not actually got back to and played a couple of times. I really enjoyed Frostpunk, and it did an amazing job of taking that video digital game and putting it into a board game. It fucking nailed it, to be fair. I mean, the problems are, I think, it's overlong. Well, it's not overlong. It plays as long as the fucking digital game, which is a fucking long time. I don't think we actually ever finished a game of it. Ben has it. I mean, I like all the aesthetics of it, and it evokes all of that fantastically. And if you're a massive Frostpunk fan, then I can see totally that you'd want that in your collection. I think as a solo experience, it's probably very solid. I enjoyed it playing it as a group thing, because you get the group think and making hard and fast decisions. It's one I would like to revisit and play again, so I'll have to speak nicely to Ben about that, because he hasn't brought it back since. But yeah, big setup, big thing, big long playtime. I mean, the argument could be made, it essentially is doing a very good job of evoking the digital game in about the same length of time it would do. Why not just play the digital game, I suppose, is the argument against it. I mean, I personally really enjoyed it, but it was nothing that made me want to leap to own it, because a lot of what I've just said is like, I kind of want that hit. I'll probably go and play the digital game rather than forking out the money for it. But if it's your jam, I can totally see it's a sandwich worth nobbling on. Then Frosthaven turned up at the early part of the year. We started our journey with that. That is still ongoing a year later, unsurprisingly. March, we played a lot of Vita Lasada. We played Escape Plan, which I really enjoyed. A lot more Frostation. That's probably about right, eh? Frosthaven, which already annoyed me in March with a puzzle thing. I remember the stupid fucking puzzle, and it does fucking annoy me still. April, Food Chain Magnate and Twilight Inscription came into our worlds. Twilight Inscription is one I've tried to get back to the table a few times. We have played it a couple of times. Jamie is very resistant to it because he doesn't really like roll and rights. Is number one resistance, and number two, he's not convinced it's going to work as that. And I agree, it doesn't really. It's a different beast, but it's one it's still there, and I need to play some more and make more choices of. Food Chain Magnate, well, we're going on that journey, and we'll come along on that one as we go. May, so a big thing is, and that's probably the most busy point of time for me, was when I put out the Baiting the Click videos covering the Six Siege, which... Mythic Games, Six Siege, go and watch them to get the full story rundown because I cannot be asked to go over that again. But essentially, Mythic, and they are still going and they are still at it, asking for basically ransom money for them to give you the game you backed for lots and lots of money. There is to catch up on this, and I probably need to do a proper catch up on this, but I did dabble around and have a look where we're at. So they haven't obviously... It hasn't been released, published. It is not out yet. They have shown samples that they have of the core box recently, which has caused a bit of turmoil. I mean, the key thing of this is I went back and had a little look at it, and this has kind of fallen off a lot of radars, and it probably will re-emerge properly soon, I would imagine. They're still at it. The sad thing is, if you go into the comments section of this, all it is... it's just the backers tearing strips up each other. You've got these two very clearly divided camps of those who very justifiably are angry and furious at Mythic for basically holding them to ransom hostage over this situation, and they're not going to get their games. And kind of they're now angry, not so much at Mythic, but the other backers who've paid the ransom. They're just ripping strips off each other. And the other guys are the apologists for that and trying to defend their choices. And I get why they've done it. We went through this before. You sunk the money, and there's that FOMO, and there's that fear, and it's the I want the thing. So it's a bit of a mess. And the fact that Mythic are just fucking letting that go on says a lot about Mythic. I mean, you really, personally, if it was my company, I mean, I wouldn't be in that fucking state. I wouldn't be doing this at the moment. But if that was all going on, to allow your customers just to be fucking ripping each other to shreds over this whole thing, and infighting, and just... It's just fucking horrific, really. I don't get it. It's shameful, I think, is probably the best way to put it. It is shameful. It's just pile on to the shame of Mythic Games and their fucking appalling business practices. How this is all going to play out, I think, yes, some games are going to get delivered to these people. The other people are going to get fucked over, as we know. October's original... timeline, we'll catch up a game in April probably time, actually, because it's been pushed back to April now. Shock horror, when they're now going to actually get it into backers' hands. Shock horror, if it arrives, which who knows. But they did. What kicked off the latest thing is they showed a base box, which then has got, and there's obviously surplus of these things. Because as I saw coming, they were going to place an order for how many they did, and we don't know what they placed the order for. I still don't believe they've placed an order just for the quantity of people that have backed. Clearly not. They've placed a larger order that they're going to sift off and sell to supplant and substitute into money for later on for maybe the other projects, if not Six Siege. Anyway, it's a shit show. Mythic are fucking the worst. And the fact that you can allow your customer base, the people that have paid you money, to be just allowing them just to fucking rip the tits off each other and just be fighting each other and allowing that just happily to go on, says a lot about you as a company, really, doesn't it? Which basically you're a shower of fucking cunts, is my take on it. But we'll come back to that later. Obviously, there was also the butt of backlash over it. A lot of content creators kind of scurried for cover when this happened. Quackalope was one of probably the worst offenders on this. All blew up, and he put out some very random videos and stuff. I mean, he just basically showed himself for what he is, which is, snake oil salesman. And there's a bunch of them out there. Anyway, all of that happened. That was that. Then the UK Games Expo happened, which is always nice. Love the expo. I did nothing kind of throwing at my brain as being like a defining game or moment from that. We know After Us is one. I think that's the great one. I've played that a few times. I've enjoyed that. But yeah, I enjoy the expo. And I will continue to join the expo. I need to think going forward what I want to do at the expo, because I used to do a lot of coverage at the expo. I used to do a lot of filming. I am contemplating the potential of doing another live show, maybe this year, no, 24, if I'm allowed back, if they let me do it. We'll see. A live mumbo jumbo. Well, that'd be thrilling for everyone. Anyway, carrying onwards. So July, food chain magnet pissed me off. We know all that. The camera still didn't work. We weren't in focus. And Cyber Expeditions, a game that I played a few times. I did initially was quite interested in. I'll be honest, my interest kind of waned after that. I think it's perfectly fine, solid game. It doesn't do anything fascinatingly new. Ben hasn't put it back for a while. It's one I'll play. It's one that I ultimately felt was missing something, and I didn't know what, but it's probably going to be balanced out with an expansion down the road. Then in August, Weather Machine just confounded us all. What a fucking shit show that was. I think Ben sold it now. That was one we played, I think we played twice, once to learn and then the second time. Just fucking awful. And then Frosthaven, about August, I think Frosthaven had begin to feel more like a job to me rather than actually an interesting, entertaining play. I still like it, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of fucking hard work to kind of GM that game, for want of a better word. And at some point during this period of time, I also dropped all the contents of Gloomhaven and Frosthaven on the floor, which also made a mess and also meant we were out of the picture for a while. Well, I fixed that. Then Barcelona, we had a little look at that. I went camping, fuck that. We started playing Scout, love a bit of Scout. And Terraform Mars got into shit for doing AI art. Then I put out a video for my best board game movies, which I still enjoy most of that stuff. And I added to that list, I would add Bodies, which I saw this year, which I didn't see at the time. I enjoyed that as well. The werewolf-ish type vibe off of that. Then in October, obviously we played some Fury of Dracula and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Slaughterhouse, which I've really enjoyed. Tip for that one, I think that's going to be on my list for the year. Of just a surprise, and from its value, great. It is now sold out. I don't know if it's coming back in to print anywhere. It was an HMV exclusive. If you got it, good stuff. If you haven't got it, I don't know if you're going to get it, but it was good. So keep an eye out. November, December, Apiary obviously hit my world. I really enjoyed Apiary. I haven't played it again recently, but I really enjoy just the puzzle it presents every time you're playing. There's a lot of variety in that box. And I think it's my favourite of Stonemaier stuff this year. As I said, I'm not a Stonemaier fanboy. I do own a couple of the games. I really enjoy Tapestry. Apiary is one that I think I will happily sit beside that as another one I really enjoy, just because it presents a really entertaining puzzle to resolve every game you play it. It's pretty nifty. It plays pretty quickly. It's got the theme of space bees, if you think that's a thing. I don't have an issue with that. I think it's just generally a solid... It's not revolutionary. It's not changing the world. But it is for the first time out the gate from the designer, whose name is going to escape me for the moment, and I apologise for that. But yeah, it's a really solid game. As I say, it's not revolutionary. It's not doing anything new, but what it does very well, and offers a lot of variety in that box, and I think it's really good. So there. So that's it for the year. That's kind of the year in a whistle-stop tour of the year. I mean, a lot of other shit went on, I'm sure. It's been ups and downs this year. It's been exhausting. I've been dealing with a lot of stuff behind the scenes, family and stuff. It's been it's exhausting, but we're all here still. We've made it till 2024 just about. So that's bank 23 behind us. And let's see what 24 has got in store for us. Who knows? I don't even know. I don't know if there's anything coming up that I'm excited about. I can't even think of stuff. How exciting. Who knows? Right. So there we are. Just a quick one. That's just a big thanks to the Patreon supporters. All of you lovely people. I will name you Phil, the sheep. Thank you, Phil, for your continued support. I know Phil probably doesn't watch many of the videos anymore, but he was a big fan of the podcast. And Phil's just a character, and I like Phil very much. Tim Cox, thank you very much. Duncan Jarrett, salute you, sir. Mr. James Murray, as always, sir, a saint you are. Longshanks, Mr. Longshanks, thank you very much. Mike McDonald and John Davey, both of you gents as well, you all deserve a big hug and a big thank you for your continued support on Patreon. If anyone else wants to do that, go for it. At the moment, I need to look at Patreon, and I know I've spoke to the guys on there, I've put words out, and most of the vibe seems to be that they don't really looking for anything extra. I did intend to try and do some videos of all the ring this year for the Patreon backers, and I haven't yet managed to get that done. I am going to do some exclusive video stuff, I think, for Patreons, because it feels like they need to pay back some of that, because you are supporting me, and I thank you and applaud you, and I bow to you for doing that. I just need to think of what I can do. I think I might do some stuff that revolve around the group and what we play in discussions. I'm thinking like a monthly roundup every month. There might be Patreon exclusive thing, which will be just me chatting through with the guys what we've played over the last month, what we enjoyed and what we didn't. As the audience, let me know what you feel on regards to that. Other than that, there's also Richard, Ian. Hello, Richard. Yes, you do make lovely lists. Yes, we at some point we'll play some games, mate. And everyone else who has commented and mentioned me in the Facebook, usually off the Board Game Trading and Chat, thank you for the acclaim, and even think of me in the big, larger, wider world of the tuber-ubers and content creators in general, of which I do what I do. And then, of course, a big thank you to the Sunday Boys. Thank you, Sunday Boys, for all our year's worth of playing, and the Friday chaps, again, for all the games, especially Ben for bringing more games, giving me the option to see some variety and for me to share that with you. If that wasn't going on, well, Tony also gets lots of stuff, but he doesn't like to learn stuff. So, we get a nice mix of stuff. I think with the guys who are buying games, we're getting a nice mix of stuff. But thank you all of you guys and everyone else and everyone who I've played with and I've met at the expo, everyone I've interacted with. It's always a pleasure to say hello to you all. So there you go. That is kind of a very brief rundown of riff-raff of that. You've got to see Isaac. Isaac, wish you a happy new year. Wasn't that nice? Dog didn't come in. I'll get him in at a later date. But that's me. That was 23 for us. Upcoming is, as I say, I want to do a kind of a list, maybe a top 10 of games played in the last year. And as I say, it will not be specific to 2023 games published. It will be what we played. And I'm hoping to pick up interviews and maybe like a little film chats with some of the crew from the game nights, just so I can get a bit of variety in it, give you a bit of a window into our what we've been doing. That's it. I need to clear up there's a shit tip in here at the moment. The Urban Doors and Sun Number 2 have been started kind of coming in just to use it as a hangout, which is great. But there's shit everywhere in here now, literally everywhere. So I need to clear this all out because tonight we are going to have, because we got Bank Holiday Monday and it's the weekend, we're going to play Twilight Imperium again. Big old fucking Twilight Imperium game tonight with me and the Sunday Boys. So I need to set that up. I've got some pre-made maps. I need to pick one of those. So we're going to be cracking on with that. And I can't wait. I love some Twilight Imperium. So there you go. That's us for the moment. I hope you had a lovely Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful new year. We will catch up very soon. And again, a huge thank you for all the backers, supporters and Patreoners and everyone else. It's fun. It's nice to know that there is people out there watching. It is nice. Thank you for that. I mean, God knows why you're spending hours of your time doing this, but thank you. God bless you all for that. And on that bombshell, I will see you again very soon in the new year. Tatty bye.